Elden Ring. I love it, but sometimes it just makes me wanna... And then, some more, because sometimes it really can be completely... Can I get an amen? Can you beat Elden Ring by shouting? Well, actually, yes, and it's pretty straightforward for the most part. I said, for the most part. Rules time. I can only damage enemies using roars, and the roar has to be produced by my character's voice, so dragon roars don't count. This leaves three main options: Beast's Roar, Troll's Roar, and Regal Roar. Although Regal Roar is pretty useless since it's locked into the endgame. Technically, Howl of Shabriri would be okay too, but... well, yeah, it's kinda crap. This isn't an all bosses run. My main goal is to beat the game, and anything else I do is for my own amusement. And that's pretty much it. Having said all that, it's time to shout my way through various levels of shop floor staff in order to beat the manager and become the Elden Karen. I'd love it if you joined me for the journey. Well, guess we're here again. You know how this goes. Hero as a starter class? Check. Incredibly hilarious name? Check. Picking the most annoying voice possible to listen to for the next 30 hours? Check. Making myself look disgusting? Check. Actually, hell no. I'm bored of making swamp donkeys. I am a strong, independent content creator, and I deserve to look beautiful. Okay, let's go. The start of this run is pretty simple, and although I took a similar path to my Sonic Lightning Ram run, my forward planning skills were now at least a 4 out of 10, so my route looked a little less like a dying fly had crawled all over my map. I said hi to Vare, bought a torch and crafting kit from Kale, offered Melina something maiden these nuts.
I'm out, man.
Guess she wasn't interested. Picked up the whetstone knife, let Wadawika seduce me with her honeyed words, looted smithing stones, freed Alexander, grabbed the turtle talisman, went to Caelid. Do you mind, Melina? I was in the middle of something. Sheesh. Like I was saying, I went to Caelid, grabbed the medallion piece from Fort Faroth, returned to East Limgrave for the physic flask and the other medallion piece, headed down to Shifra, where I used to be an adventurer like you, but then I took 1,000 arrows to the face. I got some more smithing stones, took a cultural tour of the Weeping Peninsula to study its beautiful churches and steal anything not bolted to the floor, skipped around Stormvale, headed up through Eastern Liurnia, got horrendously lost in the old ruins trying to remember where the drop-down point to Bellum Highway was, rode the Lift of Dectus like I was the 2022 lift riding champ or something, and picked up my main weapon for the start of the run, the Troll's Golden Sword. This weapon has the Troll's Roar Ash of War as standard, so is the easiest way to obtain a damage dealer without killing anything first. It also needs 10 dex and 29 strength to wield, so I would need to find myself a few easy levels. While I was in Altus, I figured I'd get some more stuff unlocked, so I headed up past the forest-spanning Great Bridge to Loopy Lady Lala Land, made my way into Outer Lane Dell, got my shit pushed in so hard by a gargoyle it came out of the other end, promptly remembered side paths are, in fact, a thing, looted more smithing stones from Liurnia, made sure to talk to Raya, poster girl for bad posture gamers everywhere, picked up the Glintstone key, opened up the path to Carrier Manor, and booked myself an express ticket to the deepest circle of hell by robbing every single grave I could find. Meh, dead people don't need money anyway. With my pockets fatter than Lana Del Rey after lockdown, I returned to the round table, did the bare minimum of socialising just to keep up appearances, got my sword to a pleasant +8, and levelled up. I had no reason not to two-hand the sword for now, so I made sure I had 20 strength, and then put the rest into vigour and mind. The Troll's Roar Ash of War makes your character stomp on the ground and let out a yell, causing an AoE blast around you. It does a fairly solid chunk of damage, a massively dense enemy posture, But it's also slow as hell to start up and costs 22 FP per cast, so isn't exactly cheap. Guess I should try this out on a boss or something. Killing a troll with Troll's Roar felt deliciously ironic, like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife, or like Alanis Morissette not really understanding what irony is. So I decided to test it out on the Stone Digger troll boss in Limgrave Tunnels. As I mentioned, this thing might take 3 to 5 business days to start up, but it absolutely murks enemy poise. Now stay the fuck down, there's a good lad. I didn't choose this boss at random, as killing it rewards you with the Roar Medallion, which increases the power of Troll's Roar and Beast Roar by 15%. It goes without saying that this would stay on for the rest of the run, but I've said it, so don't you dare make that fucking joke again. Okay, fair point. Oh, if there's one thing I hate, it's Sunday drivers. Oi, Boney, hurry up! Some of us have places to be. I mean, not me, but I'm sure some people do. Cheers for the death route though. I showed D the D, and he said, nice, now go to this secluded spot in the bushes, which wasn't sus in the slightest. After which, I met with the goodest of boys and fed him some Scooby snacks. In order to obtain the Beast Roar Ash of War, I would need to hand in 3 more death route to Garank. And although I wasn't in any particular rush, I yelled angrily at another Boaty McBoatface in Liurnia just to get it out of the way, and then it was time for Margit. With any of these slow start up close range Ashes of War, the openings are the same for Margit. His forward dash and double swipe is a good one to punish, as is his upward swipe and downward smash move, and the one where he leaps and plunges his stick down. Once it's hammer time, the flying hammer smash is another good window to punish. And if this is a boss that you struggle with in general, then all of these openings are good to exploit while avoiding everything else. But of course you'd rather just watch highlights of the fight set to music. And who am I to argue? I had shouted at Margit enough to make my point by now, so it was time for some sightseeing. First, I went to find my beautiful moonlight waifu. Oh. Well, that's awkward. I bullied an injured Black Knife assassin in the death-touched catacombs for another death route, teleported to Celia Crystal Tunnel, where I discovered a fun fact about Troll's Roar. Its hitbox extends upwards. Eat shit, you ugly jizz-shooting parasite. No, not you the viewer.
You're beautiful.
I grabbed more smithing stones from there and from the Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel in order to get my sword to +10, and I headed back to Stormvale, where I decided to be thorough this time by spending an entire half an hour shouting angrily at the floor staff. I met Gostok, the shift manager, who bore the brunt of my rage. I met Rogier, who seemed to think this was a brothel.
I'm looking for a little something.
I met Nefeli, who seemed to think she could copy my whole fashion steez. Girl! No lordship for you. I met Godric, who I think was a boss or something. He did his big spinny, fly, rolly, axey thing. I watched with great disinterest and told him politely to stop it. He said, No, it's fine. I won't hurt you. I'm harmless. Before spunking fire everywhere. I shouted some more. He asked me kindly to leave the premises. I refused. Easy first try. Never in doubt. After a quick set of reps at the level up gym, I set out for the Black Knife Catacombs in Liurnia to obtain the last death route I needed. Boy, this place is a fun time. The boss here is a Cemetery Shade. Boy, this guy is a fun time. Luckily, he's also squishier than a jelly bean, and as long as I refused to participate in his fuckboy orgy, he was easy pickings. Nom 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 nom. Who's a good boy? Yes. Now gimme that beast roar. Let's talk about an obvious issue here. Whilst Troll's Roar does its best damage on a strength affinity, Beast's Roar performs best on a keen one. I'll go into detail in the numbers later on, but suffice it to say for now that, as I couldn't respec yet and my only upgraded weapon was the Troll Sword anyway, I'd just run Beast Roar on my current strength build and suck up the suboptimal damage output in favour of its speed and range. I'd get a chance to test it out soon enough. I was feeling particularly stupid, so it was time to sharpen up my mind at the academy. At worst, the enemies here are insta-stunned by Troll's Roar. At best, well, yeah. Red Wolf came and went like a train passing in the night, albeit a hugely annoying train that hops everywhere with a magic light sword in its mouth. I told Moongrum to sit the hell down and ran straight into Renala's boss fight. This proved to be a mistake as I'd forgotten to switch out Troll's Roar, and this was quite frankly garbage for this fight. Take two. I'm the moan. I'd taken a wild guess as to how many blue flasks I'd need to get through the battle, and of course, I was right on the money, because I'm pro. Beast Roar wasn't exactly going to win any prizes for damage output anytime soon, but then again, that's because those prizes don't actually exist, and I was happy to chip away from range for the dobs. Renala went back to fondling her Easter egg, and my next goal was Clifford, the big red corpse-eating general. But first, I wanted to power up my sword a little bit more. Here is me reading out a list of things I did in chronological order for that very purpose. I went up to Ravine Veiled Village to win a screaming contest with a bat, grab some smithing stones, and put an angry lava-spewing lizard back where it belongs. I yelled at a bad Capra Demon cosplay and picked up some perfumes because I needed to smell as good as I look. I did the Mount Gelmir speedrun to the manor, swept through Altus Tunnel, and killed a rock roach for more upgrades. I ran through the manor for smithing stones, upgraded my sword to plus 17, activated Godric's rune, and headed to Carrier Manor to dispatch Loretta with ease, because who dies to this boss? Come on. After levelling, I was ready for Redmane, where my friends told me how excited they were to be fighting Radahn. Good thing I'm not summoning anyone then, my guy. This was actually the most enjoyable fight of the run, so here it is in all its glory, minus the boring bits. Blythe was starstruck, as was Limgrave itself, and Betty Blue had finally decided to show up. So I headed down into Nokron, where I fought my deadly alter ego. My god, it's me! I'm the input reading little bitch. With that out of the way, I retrieved the Finger Slayer blade, went to Noxtella for some Smithing Stone 6, picked up a couple of 7s from near Church of the Plague in Caelid, upped my sword to plus 19, tested it out on Neregus, showed Patches who the unbreakable one really was, warped to Volcano Manor to buy Margit Shackle from him, and had a private moment with Fear. Bright Light's big city time, and as usual, my good friend Draconic stood in the way. I did the sneaking behind strat to get a few cheap hits in, and then this was fairly straightforward. Beast Roar does have a few frames of wind up and cooldown where you're vulnerable, and due to Draconic's spicy meatball spam, I ended up eating a few fireballs to the face for my troubles. But, on the whole, its great range allows you to just outspace his most destructive attacks, and you mainly have to deal with the lightning and the fireballs to chip away and take him down. Now that Golden Shitballs was out of the way, it was time to relax in Lanedell. Did someone say relax? Then you should visit the Subterranean Sucking Grounds. We've got amazing living statues, tunnels, slugs, and a plethora of smithing stones, all followed by a relaxing lobster dinner in the pleasant surroundings of a lake of dung. All visitors receive a complimentary plus 22 sword, courtesy of the management. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and come again soon.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Okay, let's first try this Golden Godfrey imposter. Easy runes. I'm blaming lag. Lag of my brain. Okay, let's second try this Golden Godfrey imposter. That's more like it. With that out of the way, it was onwards to the real deal. Margit, aka Murger, aka Megit, aka Morgoth, or something along those lines. This only took a couple of attempts, and although the victory was pretty scrappy, I wasn't in the mood for hanging around. Anyway, yeah, here's some footage I threw together. With Morgoth not so much dead as shriveled up like a dick in a snowstorm, I made my way to the Albinaric village to meet Albus, who gave me a medallion piece. I gazed deep into his milky white eyes, and look, what can I say? Things just kinda happened. Anyway, moving on. I made a brief stop off in Mount Gelmir to find Alexandra again. Pal, this is really neither the time nor the place for this, can you hurry up? Watched a grafted scion doing some parachuting practice, zoomed through the Forbidden Lands and the mountaintops of the Giants, where I made sure to grab the Troll's Roar Ash of War just in case I wanted to put it onto a different weapon. And then I went back to Liurnia to get the Bloodflame Blade incantation to test out a theory I had. Oh, hey Grail. Yep, looks like applying Bloodflame to your weapon transfers bleed to the Ash of War. Good to know. Oh yeah, I also screamed at some creepy dude in the sewers until he died. God knows who that guy was. It was time to get a couple of NPC quests out of the way.
What are you looking at?
I can't believe FromSoft put me into this game. I bought the necklace and made Bogart move to Altus, where I promptly thanked him for his service to Haute Cuisine by yelling him into a bloody mess in order to get his bell bearing for a convenient supply of boiled crab to feed my addiction. Then, I took Vare up on his offer to murder strangers on the internet. Hey, guys, do any of you know the way to the... sorry, my bad. I soaked the cloth at the Church of Inhibition, returned to Vare and... Hey!
Hello, yeah, what, me?
Do you mind?
Mind what?
We're filming here.
I just wanted to have a look, mate.
Jesus, I thought we had security in this place.
All right, I'll go.
Anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, Varesh stuck me full of the good stuff and...
Just having a little look, mate.
Okay, I give up. Melina, cancel my appointments for the day. I'm going to the park for ice cream.
No need to be so bloody rude.
Moogwin time. I looted what I could because there are some great items around here, but I was mainly opening it up to make use of the Albin Aric slaughtering grounds. I mean, damage testing grounds.
I'm in danger!
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. I'm running past Miriam like she's not even there to find my wifey's dead body at the top of the stairs. I also got Radon's Great Rune, but I don't have any bars about that. So far, this run had gone pretty comfortably, so something was bound to come along and ruin it. No, not this roly-poly sack of fiery trash. I mean my own stubbornness. You see, I decided pretty early on that I would try this fight with Trolls Raw rather than Beasts Raw. I'll explain my reasoning. I was still spec'd out for a strength build, so Trolls Raw would do its most effective damage output. And since Fire Giant has an absolute ton of HP, I wanted to be able to hit hard. Trolls Raw also has a higher chance of staggering him. Plus, I figured that the vertical hitbox would come in handy for punishing his second phase, as well as for when he inevitably goes and floats on a tiny ass rock, because this boss arena can eat my entire length for lunch and swallow the balls for dessert afterwards. My reasoning was possibly sound, but the reality was that this kinda sucked for several reasons. Firstly, it's slow as hell. Secondly, although the Raw has an AoE, you'll only get maximum damage by standing close. Thirdly, the way the hitbox interacts with his ankle is variable at best. I tended to get the maximum damage output once the shackle was broken by standing directly behind his foot. Being slightly to one side of it often resulted in lower damage. This caused me issues, not only because positioning yourself correctly when he's standing in really awkward parts of this utterly awful boss arena. Did I mention how much I hate this utterly awful boss arena yet? Is annoying and often results in death, but it also made it hard to calculate exactly how much FP I would need to get through the fight. Oh yeah, and, fourthly, let's just chalk things like this up in the bullshit column. Man, it would be terrible if after struggling on this one for a while, I got him right down to one hit away, only for the hitbox of my last attack before I run out of FP to not connect. Yeah, that would be terrible. Fucking end me now, prick. It was clear I needed more backup juice for my caboose, and the most enjoyable way to do that, if not the simplest, was to return to Noxtella, shout at Ranni's Stalker, sprint through the Lake of Rot, and hop a coffin ride to fight a skull-faced, horny, cosmic star-summoning dragonfly made of marbles. 'Cause it wouldn't really be a FromSoft game without one. I figured I'd stick with Trolls Raw, as Astel has lots of opportunities to get underneath and I could easily exploit that. Despite getting sucker punched a couple of times through lazy play, I made it past him fairly easily and headed up to the Cathedral of Manus Celeste for my real reward. Starlight Shards. Perfect for those emergency lack of FP moments. I ignored Ranni because she never returns my calls, and I was ready to go and get my ego cut down to size by Fire Giant some more. Time to do the damn thing. Alright nerds, it's nerd time, so let's talk numbers. At high weapon upgrade levels, your Ash of War will perform best on its default affinity, even when your stats don't actually support that. On this build I was currently running 40 strength and only 15 dex, and while Troll's Roar performs best on a heavy affinity, as you'd expect since that's both its default and in line with my strength build, Beast's Roar with a keen affinity outperforms the other affinities even with low dex and high strength. I also removed the Saw Seal talisman I'd been wearing and tested again to show that damage output is affected by your stats, not just the weapon level. Since I was sick of the sight of Troll's Roar and planned to use Beast's Roar going forwards, I respec'd into dex, leaving enough points in strength to two-hand the sword since it was still my highest level weapon, and tested again. That increase in dex had now added around 100 AR to my keen Beast's Roar. Every little helps. Now, I should go find some sort of low-tier boss to try this out on. Why hello there my fine fellow, have you seen a medallion piece anywhere? This was turning into the run of clutch bad attempts, but first try is first try, and I wasn't there to nitpick, so I grabbed me a slice of delicious medallion pie, rode the lift to the frigid outskirts, and cleared out Yellow Annex Tunnel for more upgrade materials. I think I was just about ready to commit a cardinal sin.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, 'cause it's cold out there.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
Farum was lovely. Truly delightful. Yes. Look at how happy these little wormy freaks look in their paddling pool, for example. Or check this local troupe of acrobats practicing their routine. This really is heaven. And nothing says heavenly more than the Godskin doo-doo. I thought this might be a pain in the butt, so I maxed out my sword, stuffed my pockets full of boiled crab, because, you know, people generally tend to avoid you when you have your pockets full of boiled crab, and I prepared for the inevitable. And there it is. But then, something beautiful happened. You see, this is actually a really easy way to take out the pair. Just stay locked onto Mr. Elastic from a distance, be wary of fireballs as they input read your Beast Roar, so you gotta pick wisely, and only attack when he's separated from the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, so you can kill him over and over without triggering James Corden's second phase, because that would be bad.
What's the status? He's getting fatter. We can't stop it. Damn.
Guess we're going old school. Comfy second try. What was it I was saying about clutch attempts again? I met with Alexander at the top of the Dragon Temple lift to talk things out. Sadly, it seemed we wanted different things in life, and we ended up having a messy breakup. I got to keep the shard though, which is nice, since it gives a hefty boost to your weapon skills. Malekith was waiting for me at the end of the Great Bridge, and I was sure that this would be a tough fight, so I wanted to prepare properly. Firstly, I decided to change my weapon. Ditching the Troll Sword for a lighter dex weapon would allow me to move the rest of my strength levels over to dex, and picking one with bleed might come in handy in conjunction with Bloodflame Blade. So, I settled on the Bloodhound Claws, which drop from this friendly chap in Volcano Manor. I got them up to plus 24 and braved the hell of the Ordinate Evergel to reach the hell of the Halig Tree, so I could take them on a road test. No mate, I do not want to buy your mixtape, now fuck off. I've died exactly 0 times to either version of Loretta. I mean, look how easy she is. She has to be the easiest boss, right? I mean... I've died exactly 1 times to either version of Loretta, and I wasn't about to make it 2. So I played it safe and kept my distance to abuse Beast Raw's great range, secured the dobs, and proceeded through to Elfale to scream in the face of God and pick up a sweet talisman in the process. Melania who now? I also wanted to stock up on rune arcs, so I picked the easy option of the gargoyles. No, really, I was way OP for them at this point, and they went down faster than Roderica does in my Rule 34 fantasies. I hitched a ride in another coffin and hit up the milky muddy delights of Deeproot Depths in order to mercilessly slaughter a room full of baby mums for their prized possessions. I also screamed a Blackblade kindred who was just minding his own business into an early grave and massacred a commander and his troops for no reason in particular. I'm starting to think I might be the bad guy here. Guess I should go get an appropriate glow up for the occasion then. Ugh, that's so hot. Finger me harder. Remember when I said this?
Malekith was waiting for me at the end of the Great Bridge, and I was sure that this would be a tough fight.
Turns out I'm bad at predictions. Because even though I approached this fight with all the grace and style of a reversing dump truck, I still comfortably first tried it. How? A bit like this actually. Glad you asked.
And Sir Gideon Othmere, the all-knowing.
Nah, I'm good today, pal. Thanks. Now show me a real boss. Perfection. The fight with Godfrey is a satisfying back and forth. He stomps, I stomp. He roars, I roar. He goes into a multi-hit giant axe combo that explodes half the arena. I, don't. You'll notice I tried applying Bloodflame Blade to my claws to see if I could bleed him. That was a huge waste of time, just putting that one out there. Also, guys, level vigour. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Godfrey stomped his last stomp, I shouted him straight into a cutscene, and then it was time for Grumpy Gramps to do his grabby thing. Horaloo, couldn't escape if I wanted to. Oh, Horaloo, why you gotta make me look like a fool? Da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dead. Tarnished. You can call my throat Torrent, because it was a little hoarse by now. But I was so close to the end I could practically taste the manager. I prepared myself for the final showdown by buying Lord's Divine Protection as always from the Twin Husks, as this gives a massive boost to holy damage reduction and is hugely useful for the final boss. And then I went off to relax for a bit in the only way that a cultured British gent knows how to. Oh my god, he takes it round 1, he takes it round 2, unbelievable techers, he shoots, he scores, this lad is on fire, Gary.
Marika's tits.
Yep, that's them. Oh, hey Radagon, don't mind me, just looking at your wife's tits.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
Ow! I thought this would be one of the more straightforward fights of the run. Radagon had other ideas. Phase 1 of this fight was annoying for a variety of reasons. Firstly, Radagon can actually spell parry with his arm and return the favour in the form of holy bolts, and this applies to the Beast Roar too. Secondly, if you thought you had a window, then you can be damn well sure Raddy will pull yet another hammer smash out of his butt in order to demonstrate that you do, in fact, not have a window at all. And thirdly, this even applies at distance, since he can swoop or teleport to you in the blink of an eye to punish you the second you commit to the roar. I had several attempts in which I was cruising along just fine before he summoned all the RNG gods at once to collectively shit all over me like a flock of celestial pigeons and waste all my flasks before Elden Beast. But at least when I did reach Elden Beast, the fight became fairly straightforward, as long as I kept casting the protection miracle. I mean, apart from that time when I ran out of FP with one hit left on the boss. Again! You'd think I'd learn, right? Oh, and we don't talk about that time Brain.exe stopped working and I forgot how to dodge. Twice. Don't do Herber, kids. Okay, come on Baron, get it the fuck together.
You're the best! Boy, you've really whipped this game. I mean, you can put it back on the shelf. You've mastered it. I mean, on difficult. That's incredible. I couldn't even do that. I'm telling you, you know, you can just put the joystick down now and rest assured that you are the best. I mean, you're probably the only one who's even done this. You're probably the only person who's heard this right now. Heard this, me, talking right now, you! You are someone special to us. We care about you. I mean, if you ever feel bad about yourself, think about this day and what you're hearing right now. You are the best! If you wake up someday and you're in prison, serving a life sentence, you just look up and say, I'm the best. When you're down, when you're lonely, when all their friends have turned their backs on you because you're such a jerk, you just sit there and say to yourself, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best!
Maradagonica was dead, or something similar at least. I seized the power of the Elden Ring, practiced my Sauron cosplay, unleashed the frenzied flame upon the world, cause I'm nice like that, and I had mostly beaten Elden Ring by shouting it into submission. Which was great, but I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that I still had unfinished business somewhere.
Excuse me, can I get a manager? Can I please get a manager?